Hey, James here, and in this interview I'm talking with Sandra Allars. Sandra is absolutely successful by just about any measure you can possibly think of with her business Soothe Mobile Massage, where she employs 30 people in her team, and she's actually franchised this business and has 3 franchisees that each have their own team. In this interview you'll hear how she's done that. She actually started just doing massage during school hours as a job that gave her some pocket money, some income while her kids were very young. And she's been able to then have a passion to grow this business over a 15-year period to get it to the place where it is today. The interesting thing about Soothe Mobile Massage is it's specifically mobile massage for the elderly. So her and her team go into nursing homes, they do treat individual patients, and a lot of it is government funded or through health funds. So listen in as Sandra shares a whole lot about what it's like working with the elderly, how you too can get a foot in that door, and also what it's like to grow an amazing business. Okay, thank you, Sandra, so much for joining us on the podcast today. Really great to be able to have you here as a guest. I've been really excited to talk to you today because I know you're doing something that is a bit unique, a little bit different in the sphere of massage. And I'm just really looking forward to unpacking a bit of that story and hearing more about how you've started, how you've got to the place that you are right now, and also the opportunities that you're seeing in the industry at the moment for yourself and for therapists as they're coming along. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Excellent. And it would be great to start. I always talk to people about where they are right now. Like, what are you doing, Sandra? Introduce yourself, introduce Soothe Mobile Massage, and where you sort of fit into the spectrum of services at the moment.
Okay. All right. So what we do is I've got a team of about 30 odd therapists all over Melbourne.
Wow, great.
And I've franchised. So I've got 3 franchisees. They've each got a team. And I'm working on my 4th franchisee. So we cover from Mornington, Rosebud, all the way out to the east, Warburton, Hillsville, up to Beveridge, all the way out to Tarneit. So we cover pretty much most of Melbourne.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I suppose our business is quite unique in the fact that I take on Cert 4 remedial and myotherapists to join the team.
Yeah.
And then we specialise in elderly massage. So the 4 areas that we mainly concentrate on is disabilities, mental illness, dementia, and elderly massage. And we do a fair bit of corporate promo work and expos. So that's what we do. We do it really well. So, and then once they come on board, then we do some training with them. So I find that a lot of the therapists, they come out with their piece of paper and they're all excited how they're going to change the world. And, I'm going to, and then I think reality hits and then they go, this is really hard yards. This is hard yards to make a living out of it. So what I do is I nurture them. We take them through a program, like a bit of a training program. And is the elderly or aged care or mental illness and disabilities, is that your niche? Is that what you're passionate about? Because they're quite a different target audience to what you've been trained in. So I have lots of therapists and I say to them, work with me part-time, do 2 days a week, and then go off and work in a clinic, build your own business, sort of have a bit of a balance. So you've still got your skill set. So that's what we do. So I started it from scratch.
Yeah,
great. I was a one-woman band. And
when was this? How long ago?
Oh, I've been massaging 15 years.
Great.
So I've just given up. Massaging.
Oh, wow.
Pulling teeth, really, because I still really enjoy massaging, but where the business is, I haven't got the time. I just don't have the time. So I think starting from scratch and working it to a franchisable model has been huge. So I've built the system. So I'm a franchisor and a franchisee. So I have a team underneath me, but I've also developed the model of what we do. So I've had a few challenges.
Yeah, what an exciting journey. And really,
hiccups.
Yeah, and it sounds too like you really are getting into business level things now that are, franchising, setting up businesses in that way is so far ahead of where you must have been when you just started as a as a solo therapist just doing the work. It's, it's a really big spectrum that you've traveled there. So let's just sort of focus in on a few different things there.
Sure.
The first thing I wanted to ask about was, like you mentioned, that massaging the elderly or the disabled is quite different from what people are learning in their Cert 4 or their other training that they're doing, whatever level it might be. Just share a little bit about that. Like, what's it like going in and working in a nursing home or in a, I don't know, do you go to disability homes? How does that work?
We do. So we go into nursing homes. We've got several contracts, one in Belvedere and one in Waverley Valley, and they're both very different nursing homes.
Okay.
So we massage under ACFI funding, which is where the physios massage. So physios have so many points under ACFI funding, and massage comes under 1 point.
Right.
So that depends on the nursing home and how they get their funding. So we go in and we massage 20 minutes per person in each room. So we massage in their room, and I used to do the training. Now I don't. But I suppose it's a challenge in the fact that each client or resident is very different. So you might massage them in a bed, in a wheelchair, in a day bed. They'll have dementia, not being able to move, not maybe even being able to speak. Right. So I think the hardest thing, so when they study Parkinson's and MS and stroke and all the aches and ailments. And then mine is more reality hits. And then I take them through a nursing home and they go, I'm not quite sure how to massage them because they're not on a table. And I went, no one's on a table here. So it's very different, and nursing homes very more medical orientated. So what we do is we've developed a medical sheet of all the terminology that the nursing and the doctors use. Right. So we've designed terminology and also languages. So you might be in a nursing home where Greek and Italian, like, Frondiffer, one of our contracts, is purely Greek. It's, that's what they do, Greek clients. And so the therapist might not be Greek, even though I've got lots of different nationalities. So we have language sheets as well. So we go in and we put a sign up and we nurture the therapist through that process. And it's about a 4-hour stint they've actually got to do. And so they take a deep breath and go through from room to room. And it's just a gentle massage. What we do is communicate. There's no, I'll get on the table and this is what I've been trained to do, and effleurage and tapping, and you've got to do it. There's none of that. It's like, take a deep breath and it is what it is. It depends on the elderly. Every day is different. They could be having a bad day and you go, okay, we'll speak to them very calmly and soothingly, and I'm here for the 20 minutes. Let's see what we can do with that. So it's very, very, very different. So you've got dementia as well, and there's different levels of dementia and different types of dementia. So in our training, we go through that. So I've had therapists who've gone into nursing homes and gone halfway through the training and go, can't do this, can't do this.
Because I can imagine it would require a certain kind of caring personality and maybe even some experience with that yourself. Like, I know it can be quite confronting the first time you're seeing these people, and if you've had experience with it, then I'm sure you're in a space where you can put out that energy and improve these people's lives. And that would also be a really amazing gift to be able to bring to these people. But I can also imagine a young therapist getting out, not having had experience with that before, perhaps stepping into that place and thinking, oh, this is quite different.
It can be a bit scary. So I've got, a very diverse team. So I've got, in their early 20s to therapists who are closer to 60, so I've got a very broad spectrum of therapists. And that's why I do the individual training. So we do several steps in the training, and each step I go, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because, kind of the clients get attached to you and they get nurtured by you. So I try and, with the young ones, it's you're going in to massage grandma and granddad. They're in
Yeah,
their
yeah,
20s or 30s, you're massaging grandma and granddad, and, you go there every week and you have a cup of tea with them and you see how they are, and you just do what you can for that hour.
yeah,
It's not rocket science. You can't
yeah.
solve or fix anything when it comes to late stage of dementia, Parkinson's, stroke,
Yeah. But
MS.
connection is still so important, like the physical touch as well as just being there for a little bit of time and connecting with people that way.
That's the whole point, really, of our business, is the fact that it's not, it's taking care everywhere. That's like our tagline. But really, our focus is on connection with the elderly, connecting with your loved one, that we can improve their wellness of mind, their wellness of spirit. And it's a visit. It's a visit from someone who's not the immediate family, or it's not a medical person who's going to take blood, or, Royal
Yeah.
District nurses come in and all of those things. So we're there just for them,
Yeah,
just to,
perfect.
just to nurture them and give them a massage and calm their spirit down, because they get quite agitated.
Yeah.
They get a bit nervy and can't cope with only one thing during each day. So
Yeah.
the
But what a
elderly,
great service. I think that's a really, that would be really special, especially for the right kind of therapist that can connect from that heart space. It would
and
actually be quite a special experience to be able to
yeah.
do that.
So so that's what we need. We need therapists who have a heart for, a very different target audience in society.
Yeah. And for a specific part of the community.
Mm.
So tell me then a bit about your journey. Like when you first started yourself, were you doing that elderly massage like that? Or how did you start, Sandra? What's the first part of your story?
Well, I started out. I had three little ones. Well, they're now bigger. Three little girls, and I needed to. And I was working in the city, and I needed a job closer to home. And I thought, so I was on maternity leave, and I went back to study, and I thought, oh, this will be a good idea, massage,
Yeah.
and went back to work. And it took me a couple of years to sort of transfer over from massage to a normal job. And I thought, will this really work? And I didn't want to go back to working in a call centre, which is what I was doing for 6
Yeah.
years while I had the three girls. And I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. So push came to shove, and I thought, I've got to make it work. And I did. But I just wanted a job school hours.
Yeah.
Really, I
Yeah.
just wanted to earn some income closer to home, that I could work around the three little ones. And that was the whole purpose of the business. My hubby worked full time in the city. I just needed some pocket money and a bit
Yeah.
of relief
Perfect.
out of the house. And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of our therapists come on board, who are mums.
Yeah, because it's not unusual. But then a lot of people, look at you, 15 years later, now running a team of 30 and franchising out across Victoria. How did that journey come about? Because a lot of people would have that need to fill their work in the school hours, and they might do quite well at that, but never still take those steps into something
Never
bigger,
go the
which you have.
next level.
So tell us a bit about that journey. When was it that you realized, hey, I've got something going on here that I want to grow bigger, or how did that feel?
Um, I always wanted to franchise. I saw the business opportunity, and had franchising magazines out, and friends just
Great.
looked at me and went, not possible. And I went, just wait. So it's a long process, and I think you have to have a vision, but you also
Yeah.
have to enjoy what you do. And there are tough times, and I think that's the one thing I learnt. You have to pay for what you don't know. So I've always had a business mentor. So I went to Peter Christo, who does entrepreneurship, and did a 6-month program with him. I did
Great.
Business Commandos, did a year or so with them, did Small Business Victoria,
Yeah,
um,
great.
and local councils run a lot of mentoring things. So I've always had a business mentor and gone, okay, I need to do the next level.
Fantastic.
But I suppose I sort of massaged and built it up as a one person, and then doubled my income and went, well, now what do I do? I can only do so many hours. And what if I get sick? What if, I break an
Yeah.
arm, and then I've just lost my income. And I went, well, that's not smart. So I went and got some business advice and said, this is what I'd like to do. And he said, well, of course that's possible. You just need to reach a $200,000 turnover before you can franchise. And I laughed and went, and he said, I massage, like, hello. Like, it's just, 1 hour and you get so much money. It's like 200,000 is insane. So that kind of set a bar for me, like a bit of a, like, oh, I had to reach this bar, otherwise it's not possible.
Love it.
So it took a long time to get there, but you still, and then at times you go, what am I doing? It'd be easier just to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I'm going to continue. And I think important is to nurture yourself. Otherwise you can't nurture other people. So you have to, build up that inner person of teaching and mindset and books and reading and all of those things. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere, really.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that. So working your way up to that 200K, it's like, this is my goal. I'm going to get there. I love that you've got that vision and you've got that drive. How did you actually do that? Was that through employing people? You're doing mobile massage at that point? What was the business
I was. And then I got to a certain point where I couldn't do any more massages. Like you can only do so many. And then the business mentor, Peter Christo, did a marketing plan and a business plan for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. But I hired subcontractors. So I had to go to a lawyer. And I thought, I've never done this before. So that was like, the lawyer goes, well, what do you want in your contract? And I went, I don't know. It's like,
you're the lawyer.
You're the lawyer. I have no idea. So that was a learning curve in itself, the logistics of tax and superannuation and where they stand and what happens and they're compliant and all of those things. So that was the first step. And then you've got to find work for them. I was like, So that's hence my marketing skills of going out and just finding work. So instead of me doing all the work, I did some work, but then went out and focused on finding work for them to build up a passive income. And that's really the key. If you understand a mindset of building a passive income, you will win. There's different type of work. So I think the hardest thing is letting go. Like I've just closed my studio and I had to give all my personal clients away. And it's like,
wow.
Oh no, and massage these clients for 13 and 15 years, week in, week out. And it's like, letting go of family, but you can't massage everyone forever. And so you pass them on to another therapist, and that's part of the journey. That's part of, bringing on people and having contracts and training them up and letting them, I suppose, having the competency that they can do what you're wanting them to do. You've got to be able to let go. And I think that's the hardest thing.
Wow. What an exciting journey to be on though. And sometimes I think it's easy when you've done it to look back and say, wow, it was a journey. This is really exciting. And it has been. It's something that's happened and it's taken time, but it sounds like you've had some fantastic wins there as you've gone on. But I do know that while you're in it, there's absolutely always times that feel stressful, feel challenging.
Yep.
Is there something along that journey that you can think of as like, wow, that was the most stressful moment? What would you say was your biggest challenge over that time of growth?
I wrote two things down because I knew the questions. The challenge was Simon going from full-time work to working with me. So Simon's my hubby. And he's the business manager, giving himself the title. But he does all the admin side, all the emails and contracts and all the rest. So that was a step of faith because he was at AMP, all nice and safe.
Yeah.
And he worked in the city, and I said, you could stay there till you're 65, and he goes, I don't want to do this. So that was a transition. He went part-time, and then he quit. And he said, no more, I'll come and work with you. And I went, oh, my goodness. So I actually needed him to come on board. But in that respect, losing an income is a bit scary. So both of
Yeah.
us, you know, you like not only got one income that the business supports, but now it's got to support two.
Yeah. And
So
it
that
feels a bit like all your eggs in one basket
basket,
too.
and
Like
you're
it's
like,
got to succeed now. We're tied up in this.
and I think the other challenge was we'd done a program with Brian Keane. He's our franchise mentor, and we did the program with him. And then you go, oh my goodness, this dream is becoming a reality, and it's got legs on it. And I think that was the hardest thing, because we did 6 months of putting the program, the franchising system together in the program, and that was really challenging. That was like, I just want to pull my hair out, because I'm thinking, I don't know what I don't know. And that's challenging, you know, because that's a lot of money and a lot of time and effort to put in, and you think, is this all worth it? But of course it has been, 12 months, 18 months down the track, but going through that, it's hard
Yeah,
yards.
and good on you for having the mindset too, because you mentioned that earlier as well, that a lot of it is to do with mindset. Because I think when you come up with a challenge like that, there's really two ways to go. One is to quit, or one is to push through it and see if it's going to be the success that I hope it will be. And being able to just continuously take those steps, even when it's challenging, is what's led you to the place that you're in. So well done for that. That's great.
Yeah. So it's just moving forward. And I think gathering people around you that believe in you. I think that's really, really important. And those who sort of, don't believe in what you're doing, you just give them a little bit of a wider berth and don't see them as much, and just let them know what you're doing. But having a real faith in yourself to keep moving forward is really important.
Yeah, how great. So what would you say then, the flip side of that, what would you say is your biggest achievement over that time? The thing that you're most proud of, or the one moment when you realized everything is going really well and you had that feeling of joy and achievement?
I think the first franchisee, Christina, it's like, oh my goodness, they've
Yeah.
actually signed the contract, paid us the money, and
How exciting.
And it works. The system actually works, and our business is just booming.
How fantastic. And that's such a great place to be.
It's just booming. And we've got over 33 major contracts. So, the elderly aren't going anywhere. And it's one of those industries that people need to get on board with. But it's a matter of, is that the right industry for you? Is this really what you want to do? And there's a lot to do with business as well. So it's sort of
for sure.
twofold thing.
It's a super exciting place that you're in, and I can really see everything like coming together really nicely for you, which is great. Well done. One thing actually that does bring up is if there are people who are looking to work with the elderly, like if they're listening to this thinking, I love old people, I love connecting, I'm sure I could go in and do that kind of stuff. You mentioned that you get funding through ACFI. Now, I'm not particularly across what all the different funding models are, and I know that's actually part of the challenge of what you've had to overcome. Is there a way that an individual therapist, if they're listening now and thinking, there's an old folks home down the street, I'd love to have a go at this. Is there a way that they can actually approach someone or learn about how to get funding themselves? Is that even possible? How does that work?
So what happens is ACFI Fund is only in nursing homes. Okay. So they may, depending on the nursing home and how they're structured. But any therapist can approach a nursing home or retirement village. They've got individuals that come in and work for them. That's fine. It would help if they had a little bit of training with the elderly. So maybe they've done oncology for cancer, or the only way really is volunteer. I would suggest anything, volunteer, and then get someone to just write you a little reference to say, yes, she's come into the nursing home, the residents have liked it, So volunteer, because nursing homes are a very different space to working in a clinic, even to go into a retirement village. So what we do is we do a lot of home care packages. They're called consumer direct care, so that it's all government funded. Yeah. And so what happens is as the elderly age, they get a package to stay at home. Fantastic. So they get government funding. They've got to go to a service provider, Vanitas, Arcare, whoever, and they have help at home, and massage is just one of those modalities, physios, podiatrists,
Yeah,
all
sure.
go to their home. And so that's where our company has grown. But I would suggest to the local therapist, get experience in aged care, because
Yeah, sure.
if you come on board with a company like mine, it's easier for you to take, work in that stream if you've got experience. Do you like working in a nursing home? Just volunteer. You could volunteer anywhere with disabilities and get some experience, and then
Yeah.
go, okay, I like this. Then we'll move forward. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Sounds great. And so if they're looking at a nursing home, that's different to the home care packages that you're
yeah.
talking about. And
Mm.
it sounds to me just from this conversation that nursing homes might actually be the easier way to get into that industry or into the space. If you've only got one person or one sort of connection at a nursing home, is that right? The nursing home would then pay you to come in and treat all the different people. Whereas if you're looking at home care, it's one-on-one. Is that the
It's
difference?
one-on-one. So the nursing home may or may not pay you. It just depends on their structure. You'd probably better off to volunteer to start with and get to know the residents and get
Of
to know the
course.
staff. And then maybe the residents would have enough money to pay.
Okay, great.
So that would be the family paying for the massage. That's one way of getting work through there.
Sure.
Working with the lifestyle coordinators. So that's in that area. But just simply volunteer, go in and say, look, and you need a police check. You have to
Yeah.
have all your paperwork up to date. And it needs to be a police check in aged care, not just a general one,
Oh, yeah,
aged
sure.
care. So that's that section. And even in a retirement village, go and volunteer, go and do a few things, say, here's my card, I'm happy to massage a few people, and get experience in that area, and then go from there.
Yeah, sounds perfect. It does sound like there is quite a bit of paperwork and government departments and that kind of stuff to navigate though. And I guess what I'm trying to ask is there a simple way? Is there an easy way for people to navigate that? Or is that really been part of the challenge that you've spent 15 years overcoming? Is
I
that
think
what's made it hard to get into the industry?
it is hard to get. Well, it is and it isn't. We've got major contracts. So we've got Australian Unity, Remedy, Royal District. So these are these are contracts, and they cover everywhere.
Yeah.
So
And that's fantastic, but I can't really imagine a local therapist
they
heading
won't.
down and trying to get a major contract with someone. It sounds
No,
like that's where your role is in this whole thing.
that's where my role is, as building a business and a franchisable business, because these
Yeah.
companies want another company. They don't, they might have the odd individual, but I can go in and we can go all over Melbourne, you
Yeah,
know.
sure.
So so if they want to work in aged care, come and see me,
Yeah, and
because
that's
I've
a good
developed that.
option
I've
as well.
developed that system. And we can find a local nursing home or retirement village or anywhere where you're placed, and we can put you in there.
Yeah, for
Don't go
sure.
to, yeah.
And it is good to mention, actually, if someone does want to get in touch with you, Sandra, like if they're listening to this out there and thinking, oh, this sounds like a really good opportunity. Your business is obviously growing, Sandra, so you're going to need new people coming through. And from the way you're speaking too, it sounds like the opportunity is there to be employed, but also perhaps to be a franchisee,
Absolutely.
depending on how people are placed and what they're thinking at the time. But that really covers almost any therapist being able to find a spot with you if that's the kind of thing that they're looking for. What's the best way to get in touch with you if someone is interested in that?
Oh, that's fine. All they need to do is just send me an email. So it's info at
Yep.
soothe, SOOTHE, mobilemassage.com.au.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. So if anyone wants to follow it up, look at the show notes and they can
Yeah,
find that.
that's
And
fine.
it is a really big opportunity. And I can only see that industry growing too. As you mentioned yourself, the population is aging. We've all heard this a million times. And the fact that there's government funding there through businesses like yours to provide massage to the elderly just seems like a really great opportunity for therapists who have that heart, who want to make that connection, to be able to find a place where the therapist doesn't need to worry about chasing contracts or even attracting the clients themselves. It's part of a model that's going to work really well.
Mm.
So I love what you're doing. I love the place that you've found in the industry to be able to help so many people, clients as well as other therapists. What would you say from your journey, from your growing that business the whole way along? And I guess I'm going back to, especially at the start, when it was you growing and maybe employing your first few people yourself. Before we get to the franchising side of things, but just you growing your business, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice, like your biggest learning from that journey that you would pass on to other therapists who might be in the same position about growing a business or about how to think about that side of things?
It's a mindset. You need to get advice. So a lot of the therapists are one-man band. They've done a couple of hours. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a business plan? Do you have a marketing plan? You need to get the right advice. So you need to say to someone, this is what I want to do. Where are the holes in what's not happening? So you need to go and pay for the advice. Like a lot of therapists go, oh, can't afford it, and I go, well, you actually can't afford not to do it, because otherwise you're going to go nowhere. You're just going to do your 10 hours a week. And some people love that. I just want to work from home and potter around, but they can only do that for so long, and then if they get sick. So my suggestion is get advice. Do a business plan, do a marketing plan, even go and see you guys. You do business and mentoring advice.
Yeah, for sure.
But you need someone to help you along that journey, and educate yourself. Write down some books. Michael Gerber, The E-Myth.
Yes, classic.
Simon Selmick, he's on YouTube. He's excellent. John Maxwell on leadership. Oh, there's so many. You can YouTube leadership, TED Talks. You need to understand business.
Yeah,
if you're going to
it.
grow a business from one person to subcontractors and move your business forward, you need to understand business. We had to redo our contracts, so we had to go and see a lawyer. And I'm like, oh my God, we're back here again. So it's understanding where you stand as a business owner to a subcontractor. You actually have to pay them super, believe it or not. That's one of my surprise things. Whenever I interview people, I go, oh, we pay you this and super. And they go, pardon? And I go, yeah, it's actually a legal requirement, but a lot of people don't do it.
We went through that whole journey as well.
Yeah.
That's part of our story too, being surprised by that. But yeah, it's absolutely.
And what you're entitled to, and you need to be fair. You really need, because then you become a business owner. So I think the person is a one-person band. They come out, they build a little bit of a business up. They've been massaging for 12 months. They work in a clinic or whatever. Where do they want to go? And that's, if they've got a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and if they don't know how to put that together, go and get some advice and pay for it. That's really where they come unstuck. They don't want to pay for it, but it's invaluable. Small Business Victoria are excellent. If you're a one-person, just wanting a one-off advice, they give you 4 sessions, one-on-one 4 sessions, and they're great. So that's where I'd probably say people need to start.
Yeah, that's great.
They're everywhere. You can just Google them. Small Business Victoria, you can find a mentor and go for it.
Yep. And Small Business Victoria is the government-funded small business advice. Just to make that clear, because we've got people all over Australia here. So if you're in another state, I'm sure there's the equivalent in that state
business,
as well.
South
Small Business
Australia,
Queensland, Small Business everything.
Yeah.
And Local Council is another really great one. You mentioned that before as well.
They do. We're out at Casey Cadinia, and they do a whole lot of mentoring. But any of the councils, you can Google them, and they will have mentoring programs. They will have lots to do with small business. So they're the two, and they're not expensive. You could do a seminar for $20.
Yep, and it's a great place to start. And especially like what I hear when you're speaking, Sandra, is that you've got a lot of that mindset already in place because you've been doing this for a while too, and you're seeing success come from it. So you've got that confidence of what's happening. But I know a lot of therapists at the start don't have the confidence, and that's what can actually stop them from moving forward because they're just kind of in their own little place and not feeling confident, and going and just learning anything is a way of stretching yourself and stepping into a little bit more proactivity in business. And maybe not everyone wants to franchise out and be across Victoria or Australia, and that's fine too. But being proactive towards your own goals is absolutely important.
Essential.
If you're ever going to reach them, you need to have those goals and be proactive towards whatever those goals are. So I love it. What fantastic advice. And I might even, we can have a little chat after this, and I'll grab those books that you just mentioned.
Yeah, sure.
And any others that you might have, and I'll pop those in the show notes as well. So if people want to follow up on what Sandra's best books are, or little videos to watch on YouTube or on those kind of things, we'll follow up with that as well. What about, like, you have such an amazing story to this point, Sandra. What's the next step? Where are you heading from here?
I'll do Melbourne next year, so we'll still concentrate on franchising Melbourne, but the year after we'll do New South Wales, so we'll do Sydney, and I'll eventually do Australia, and then I've got the domain for New Zealand as well. So the next 5 years will be Australia, and then we'll move, so I'm all about people coming on board and nurturing. If you want to be a team member, do a couple of hours a week, that's great. But if you've got more of a business mindset and you want to be a business owner, that's the next level of being a franchisee. So there's two levels. But look, anyone can run a business. You just need to have the tenacity to do it, and it does. It takes tenacity and perseverance for that. So, I want to be number one in aged care, massaging the elderly, and aged care and all those, dementia right around Australia, and put our course together, because that's what I'm passionate about, it making sure they're trained properly, and what we do well. So
how fantastic. I love it. And I love the heart that you've got, because I can hear a lot of vision around the business, but it is coming from that heart of wanting to serve, wanting to help the elderly and the therapists in this industry. I think that's just an absolutely fantastic thing you're doing.
Absolutely. It's about building a nurturing business and taking care. You have to be passionate about going to work, like, oh, no, I've got a massage.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want people to get up and go, you know what? I'm really excited about seeing Mrs. Smith because I want to see her, this week.
Yeah.
And we're taking care of someone else's loved one, and that connection. And massage is a vehicle, but really, I know everything's high tech, instant this, instant that, but we deal with a generation that's not instant. We've got clients who have gone through the Holocaust and the Second World War. We've got clients who are 100, so 65 to 100, and we can learn so much from them. So that's what I love about it. I go to the client, I go, yay, we can, what have they done? And we can learn from them. And you don't think that they're just a forgotten kind of generation, because they're not. They've got such great stories to tell you of what they've done.
Yeah, and what a privilege to be able to serve that generation too.
Yeah, so that's really what I'm passionate about, serving that generation, and everyone, it's a win-win. The therapist gets a good income, we run a business, and the client gets a massage. It's a win-win, and
how fantastic.
That's what you've got to understand in running a business. Everyone's got to win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. And what a great place to finish up too. This has been a really good interview. Thank you, Sandra.
Well, thank you so much for asking me.
It's a pleasure. And it's a really fantastic story that you've got. And I just wish you all the best for your continued success as you keep growing around Australia and New Zealand. I can't wait to see that first New Zealand franchisee opening up. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Good on you.
All right. Thank you.